Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. It's Sunday morning. We've got Jamie Laszlo in tow once again in the Zoom. What's happening, Jamie?
What's going on, Pete? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I'm very excited to be talking about this band that I know you and I love so much. And of course, Jamie's got it on his screen behind him. We're talking about the great Swedish 70s inspired hard rock doom band, occult rock band, whatever you want to call them. They kind of borrow from all that stuff. Terrific band, and they've been around since 2004. We've got 6 albums in total, 5 full band albums. I'm not really sure what you call their most recent album, but we'll get to that.
I got a few names for it.
Yeah, I do as well. But this is a really good band. If you are someone who loves like vintage Pentagram, Black Sabbath, as well as any of like the really good blues rock bands from the 70s, and even some of the stuff, like early Grand Funk Railroad, and just a band that's got a lot of groove, a lot of big doomy riffs, cool guitar playing, really good vocals, and some spooky tunes, some bluesier tunes, some really heavy hitting songs. Really cool band, as we'll talk about these albums. And most of these are exceptional records, I think. And but we'll start from the bottom of our list, number 6, and I'll have Jamie kick us off with his number 6. I know both of our number 6 is going to be.
You use some adjectives that I have used in my notes quite a bit: doomy, groovy, stuff like that. None of that appears on their last album, Black Metal. Such a stupid name, because there is nothing black metal about this album. It's
There's nothing metal about the album. Nothing metal about the album.
No, it's Magnus Palander, I believe is his name, basically solo with an acoustic guitar. They formed as a tribute, just to do one song, basically as a tribute to Pentagram, I believe.
Yep.
And most of their stuff sounds like Pentagram, kind of. This sounds like, okay, acoustic guitar, fine, because he did a Witchcraft. No, he did a solo EP in 2010. That's not too bad, and it's kind of acoustic based. Then he did a solo album in 2016. I forget what it's called. I only streamed those 2 albums. I don't own them. But it's like a better version of this. I dare any listener to get through this pile of steaming, boring shit. It's so... I didn't re-listen. I re-listened to all these albums. I wasn't going to re-listen to this for you, for the show, for listeners, for no one. I wasn't going to do it. I did listen to side 1, though, today, as I was just doing some shit. It's a short album, maybe like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But my God, it's short to get through. I dare you to get through track 3, called Sad People. 5 minutes and 43 seconds. You can't do it. No one can get through that. The track 2 is less than 2 minutes, and I bet you can't get through that. I mean, yeah, it's horrible. It's cool to sing about hell. Just don't make it hell on me to hear you sing, is what I'm saying. That is shit.
Yeah, it's my number 6. No surprise there. It's the only one I never bought. I have all the other ones. I remember when this first came out, people were all excited because it's got the white, the bleak cover, and it's called Black Metal. Like, oh, this is going to be really cool. And then all of a sudden you see that it's really just him on it. So it's like, well, why isn't this a Magnus Palander solo album? And then you listen to it. And I remember I think you bought this and you were like, I don't know if you want this, man. And I'm like, all right, because I was looking for it. And then I was like, all right, let me go listen to it, because I got the promo of it from the record label. And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. It's basically him with this really pained vocalizations over like bleak acoustic guitar stuff. It's not a fun listen at all.
Spaces between notes,
and
words, like I sat on, just spit it out, man. And it all sounds the same. Every song sounds the same, like he's making it up as he goes along.
It's no good. There's only one song on here I can even tolerate, and that's Elegantly Expressed Depression. And the title says it all: elegantly expressed depression. And that's, this whole album sounds like
Yes.
someone who's really depressed and just picked up a guitar and just made it up as they went along. And that song is somewhat listenable. The
Yeah.
rest of it you can't even get through.
And that's the first track, and then
that's the
it's
first
all
track. It goes downhill.
Yeah, not that the hill was very big to begin with,
No,
but it's still downhill.
So I can imagine, you know, how disappointed we are with this. Just imagine like all the Witchcraft fans all around who were, you know, have been waiting for a new album from them for a couple of years, and then you get this. So why they called it a Witchcraft album, I have no idea. Is there anybody else still in the band? I don't even know what the deal is with the band itself right now. So I don't know whether, you know, he was kind of in the process of breaking up the band and he just wanted to get something out there. I don't know, but this is such an outlier in their catalog. It doesn't sound like anything else they've done. So for those of you watching and want to get it after we talk glowingly about the rest of the catalog, don't bother with this one. Do not bother with this one at all. So number 6, back to you for number 5.
Normally we say they're all good, but we got to rank them. Right. That one is not good.
No, not at all.
Your shit. This one's gonna. Okay, now I'll say it. The rest of them are all good. All of them are very good, but I got to rank them. So, Pete, I have a feeling this one might be your number 1, but we'll find out. But at number 5, I'm going with Nucleus. Like I said, it's very good, but it took me a little while to warm up to this album. I'm not going to lie. Maelstrom starts off, it might be their heaviest riff of any song that they ever recorded. I mean, it's really heavy. So right away, when you hear that, you know, the album before this, Legend, you know, it's going to be way different from the previous album like that. And then Theory of Consequence, you're like, yeah, this is going to be very, very angry album. It's got groove, but the groove is surrounded by angry, doomy riffs. But then comes the Outcast, the first single from the album. And when I heard that song, I was like, oh, this is going to be a party album. This is going to be a party album for doom metal lovers. It's so catchy. I had it stuck in my head for the last day and a half. But it's the only song like that on the album. The only one. And then Nucleus comes on, 14-minute opus. See, this isn't everyday listening for me because it's kind of proggy at times. It's long, but in the middle, it's got this big choir badass part that's really cool. And then the repeating melody, it goes from like a male choir, and the same repeating melody goes to a guitar. Then it goes to something. I looked at all the instruments being played on this album. I narrowed it down to, I think it goes to a vibraphone. And then the same melody goes to Magnus singing it. And then it goes to an accordion to end it. Same melody, different ways of doing it. But it never gets boring. No. Never. You would think it would get boring. It doesn't. The Exorcism of Doubts, Big Thunder. This is doom with a capital D. This is like early pallbearer, this song. And The Obsessed starts with a catchy groove, then goes into kind of like a weirdness, then goes back to the catchiness, then the weirdness. The weirdness on this album is what I had to warm up to on this album. I think it's because of what I wanted and what I got. That, you know, and that's my fault. There's nothing wrong with this album. Then To Transcend Bitterness. This is, when I listen to this song, I was like, some of these songs sound like songs from Legend, but if the songs were being reflected in a funhouse mirror, they're almost accessible. They're just a little distorted, you know, and twisted. So that's what that song kind of sounds like. Helpless, very good meat and potato doom song. Then Breakdown, 15 minutes long. And very moody, creepy beginning. Goes on for a while. Then there's a narration that sounds like a witch talking. And then it goes into this raw, distorted, stripped down doominess. It's very noisy. And then it goes into the repetitive chant, almost kind of like the middle of the title track, Nucleus. Kind of the same. And I was thinking while I was listening to this song, you know, if Martin Popoff liked this band or listened to any band past 1990. No, I'm kidding. But if he was like a Witchcraft fan, I think this would be his favorite album because he likes bands taking chances. He likes the adventurous albums. He likes them doing art for the sake of doing art. And I think that's what's going on here. So if he was a Witchcraft fan, I don't even know if he ever listened to them. Maybe he did kind of likes them. I think this is what he would like. So if you want to get adventurous, do this album. But here's the thing, and this is my minor problem with a lot of these albums. Minor problem. They end with this big song, and you know it's the last song. And then they give you a bonus track on some of these albums. And you're like, I don't care how good the bonus track is. We don't need it. You know, it reminded me of
ended on the epic track and
yes, and don't tack on that thing. It's like Avengers Endgame. Okay. All the movies up to Avengers Endgame, we got that after credit scene. And it was cool. Then Endgame happens, boom. No after credit scene. Not needed, not wanted. Here, we get it and we don't want it. On all these albums. Well, almost all of them. They have that bonus track that we don't want.
Even though they're good.
Even though they're good, yes. Put them in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah, to me, that's a kind of experimental album, but yes, it's really great. More on that later.
Oh, at number one, I'm sure.
Well,
we'll see.
We'll see. My number 5, this was surprising to me in re-listening to this catalog. I kind of thought this would be higher, and I really like this a lot, but to me, the band's not quite finding themselves yet. So I'm going to go with the self-titled debut from 2004. All right. Like Jamie said, they originally got together to record a song on a Pentagram tribute, right? And then they decided to let's write all new material and just make this a band. And the debut is very much like that. This very much sounds like a early Pentagram album. Maybe a little bit more melodic, very doom laden and atmospheric though. Good stuff on here. Title track, moody, heavy. The Snake is slow, Pentagram style doom. Please Don't Forget Me is actually a Pentagram cover, but they do it a little more bluesy. Very, very cool. Lady Winter absolutely crushes on here. What I Am isn't all that different to me to like the early Graveyard stuff. There are some similarities between early Graveyard and early Witchcraft, I think. Swedish bands, I think they were friends and whatnot. So they were this.
Maybe the Sword too.
A little bit, yeah. You know,
way
these guys are very
Swedish, earlier, kind of wailing like the Sword and those riffs.
Yeah. What else is on here? No Angel, a Demon, dark and menacing. Still got that little bluesy edge. I Want You to Know is great. It's So Easy. And You Bury Your Head are all strong doom songs. I think it's a really solid debut. It's fun. It's heavy, but I think the band really kind of progressed to the next level very quickly with their next album. So, but yeah, it's my number 5, but it's quite good. I couldn't argue if anybody wanted to start here and work their way up.
Yeah, there's a charm to that album, though.
Yeah.
I'm going with Firewood at number 4. And a good album.
Yeah.
And Child of Fire, child spelled Chylde. Make it a little evil, I guess. I don't know. Right away, this is their second album. Is this a second album? Yes, I believe it is. Right away, you know, okay, the production is put up a notch, just a tad. It's not slick, though. It's not slick production by any means. But you know, it's still going to be like spooky, like the first one. They got the line, I was born past midnight, neath the gloom of the darkness moon. My mother was a burning witch and my father was a preacher. You're like, fuck yeah. All right, let's go. And then you got If Wishes Were Horses, which is a great song. That sounds like it picks up right where the debut ended to me. Mr. Hayes actually has vocal effects. They got a little bit of money on this album. It kind of reminds me of Video Killed a Radio Star, that kind of vocal effects. So I guess someone in the band got a tax return and they got some fancy equipment to make this album. I don't know. But it's kind of like a mini epic. It's 3 minutes, 41 seconds long, but it sounds longer than that.
Yeah.
Wooden Cross, I can't wake the dead, big doomy riffs, but not heavy like the Sword, more proto metal than metal. The first two albums are very proto metal.
Yep.
Queen of Bees starts off like a Lost Sabbath riff.
Yep.
And the riff weaves in and out of the track. And Magnus can sing like an angel, and then he can sing like an angel in pain.
Yeah.
And like their wings are broken or something. Here he's singing like an angel in pain, kind of like that wailing type thing. Merlin's Daughter, great title, but it's just a little instrumental, like a minute and a half. I See a Man. These riffs, I mentioned the Sword, remind me of like a Sword riff, but it way stripped down.
Yeah, the guitar tones are a little cleaner, just a little cleaner.
Yeah, cleaner and softer.
There's not as much fuzz,
but dirty at the same time. Yeah, they really balance the dirtiness and the softness. It's very weird. It's got to be the equipment they're using. Yeah, the equipment from like 1971 or some shit. But then it does this furious guitar solo, and you think it's the end of the song, but it's only halfway over. The second part starts, and it sounds like a totally different song. There's even a space, a pause of nothing going on, like a pause between two different tracks. It's weird. The second part is good too, but it just sounds like two different songs. Sorrow Evoker, it's got a riff that goes into a flute and acoustic guitars, and it just goes back and forth like this electric riff and more mellow, and then it finds this gallop at the end. You Suffer is an upbeat barn burner, just less than 3 minutes, and then Attention! Exclamation point. It's their longer song. They always got that longer song on here.
Yep.
But the longer songs don't get boring. I always get worried that they're going to get boring, but they kind of don't. The riff is like an earworm, and then the guitar becomes clean over the dirty riff. And a lot of times the guitar work on these albums are clean over like a distorted, dirty riff.
Yeah. And
then it's then I don't like this when it is 11 minutes and 40 seconds, but they got a mystery song in it. That's what's going on.
Which is a great mystery song.
Yeah, but you know what? In the late 90s and the early 2000s, they did that. Bands did that all the time. They had like 4 minutes of silence and then a mystery song. And I hate, just make it a track, man.
Yeah, I hate the silent shit. I can't stand it. Everybody.
Or when a band would do like track 14 to 62 are all 1 second long, and then track 63 is a song. They used to do that bullshit too. So yeah, my bad. It's not a long song. It's long on the CD player, but it's 2 songs. So again, bonus track that, fucked up the bonus track. Just make it a regular track.
Yeah. And by the way, that little bonus song after the minutes of silence is the riff of When the Screams Come from Pentagram, which is totally cool. I'm like, yes, yeah. But
and you know what? I Shazammed it when the mystery song was playing, and Shazam told me it was Attention, like the original track before it. So I don't know what the name of it is. The mystery song.
Yeah, it's they do a dual passage from When the Screams Come. It's a classic Pentagram song. Very, very cool. So cool.
All right.
My number 4 is 2007's The Alchemist, third album. Great album.
Yep.
Always like the album cover. That's there's a kind of like almost like a folk horror type of feel, I think, to some of this stuff. Even like on the inside. Yeah. Pretty cool. But this is to me, this album is a little less doomy than the 2 that came before it. More kind of 70s bluesy hard rock, I think, which is totally fine. Walk Between the Lines, really good opener, crisp rocker, great riffs. If Crimson Was Your Color, another great catchy song. These guys could do good catchy melodies, but it's heavy, fast riffs, really intense drumming, really good. Leva is another hard driving kind of hard rock song, right? Magnus's vocals are really outstanding on this album. I think he really does well singing this less doomy, more kind of just up tempo, 70s inspired hard rock stuff. He's just a really good singer overall, I think. What else here? Hey Doctor is cool. Samaritan Burden, to me, he's got some really great Mark Farner, Grand Funk Railroad style guitar lines on there. Remembered is a really good song. And, the epic title track, again, they finish off the album with this big long track. It's got 70s hard rock, it's got some blues, got some psych, got some doom, got a little folk, a little bit of everything on there. Really strong album. It's my number 4, just because I think they have 3 other albums I think are a little stronger or I like a little bit more. But I would highly recommend this as a great starting point for anybody who wants to check out this band. Really great. I could totally understand someone putting this 1 or 2, because on any given day, I might even do that myself. So.
Yeah, just because they're not 1 or 2 doesn't mean they suck.
No. Yeah, I would say
in any ranking.
Other than black metal, all these albums are really, really good.
Yeah. I love doing these newer bands with you. You can call me the Prince of Pop Props or whatever, but if people associate me more with like newer bands, that's cool.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
So I'm going with the debut at number 3. Like I said, Charm to Spare. It sounds like it was recorded for $3, but I love that. Actually, I went on All Music to look at some of these albums to get like their opinion and just read up on them a little bit. And if you go on All Music, you'll see like the album, the year it came out, what genre it is, where it was recorded. Maybe it says Abbey Road Studios or whatever. This was recorded in someone's basement, literally. So if you go on All Music, I don't know if you could see this, but you got the styles: hard rock, doom metal, heavy metal, 40 minutes and 58 seconds. Recording location, a basement. It literally says a basement.
Nobody's
say any recording studio.
Some basement somewhere with water on the
somewhere in some dude's basement. I thought that was hilarious.
That is great.
So, it makes me love the album more. Now it's maybe my number 1. No.
Oh man, this is not garage rock. This is basement rock.
Basement rock, yes. And some of these songs, I'll get to it here in a second. But it has Witchcraft. One of those great things. Witchcraft by Witchcraft off the album Witchcraft. Very Black Sabbath-y of them. But you put this in, and the guitar tones, like we said, aren't harsh. They're raw, but not harsh. So, and Magnus sings in that wailing manner on the first couple albums, which kind of add to the rawness. But you listen to it and you go, "Am I listening to metal? Is this heavy metal? I'm not sure." Like I said, it's proto metal, way more proto metal than metal.
I get the same thing when I listen to Graveyard. It's like the lyrical content, the name of the band, the way the riffs are structured. It all sounds like heavier than it actually is. Neither band uses a lot of fuzz or distortion on their guitars. They're more cleaner guitar tones. And I think that's kind of cool, because you don't want everybody to sound like, Saint Vitus or The Sword or, any number of other, doomier bands who use, Electric Wizard. Not everybody has to sound like that. So I give the Swedes credit for, and most of these bands who play this type of stuff that come from Sweden don't overload on fuzz and distortion, I've noticed, which is kind of cool. It's different.
Yeah. So many good bands from Sweden, makes me want to move there.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
The Snake, spooky ass song. Barely a melody to it, but it's cool. But I'm glad it's, without that melody, I'm glad it's less than 3 minutes long. Please Don't Forget Me is a cover of an obscure band called Stone Bunny, who later evolved into Pentagram. So look at that. They're pulling out some archives there. But this song in this album, we're saying recorded in a basement. When you listen to it, you feel like you're sitting in a basement with maybe 3 other buddies on an amp while they're playing to you. That's how it feels. Yeah. Lady Winter. Sometimes I do wonder, like this song, what would it sound like with bigger production? I wonder, but I wouldn't change a thing. What I Am is almost starts off sounding like reggae, believe it or not, to my ears. And it sounds like, back to that recorded for $2 feeling. It sounds like Magnus is singing into one of those old silver microphones that the head screwed off. You know, it almost looked like a big disco ball, the head. That's what it sounds like. And he might be, because I know they use some vintage equipment to record these first few albums. Shista longer, 2 minutes long, but it makes the best of those 2 minutes. The guy has a great riff. No Angel, No Demon. That's the song they recorded a few years before the album for Pentagram, as a tribute. I Know What I Want You to Know. Nice rhythm, distorted vocals. But you know, the lead guitar is badass, comes off clean sounding. That if everything was distorted, it might be too much for me. So I need that balance. It's so easy, simple riff, cheap old mic effect, you know, with the cheap mic going strong in his songs. It's good song. You can tell they're writing good songs. They sound like they were recorded for $2, but they're good songs on paper.
They are, yeah.
You Bury Your Head, maybe the heaviest track on this album, very slow with heavy riffs. And then his sisters, They Were Weak. Some of these song titles are very much a mouthful. Starts with it sounds like a flute is added to it, and I couldn't see that anyone plays a flute on here, so I don't know what's going on. Slow but folky. This song reminds me, imagine if Jethro Tull played Planet Caravan, and that's what this song reminds me of. And then they end with the creepy music box, you know, ending, and that's the end of the album, right? Oh, there's a bonus song on the Japanese vinyl. Yes, I Do, a Pentagram cover. So if you get that copy, you're like, oh, a perfect ending ruined by the bonus. They should take all these bonus songs and just make a separate album. But I wanted to show you this real quick. So the last song, they have the lyrics in the CD. You got the CD there. Yep. I don't know if you ever noticed this. And that's the only lyrics they have is to the last song. And it goes and it goes and goes. And at the end of the song, he sings the lyrics backwards, you know, like a backwards message type thing. And the actual lyrics are backwards. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you'd have to put them in the mirror to read them.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
I guess I never really looked at it closely enough. Yeah, that's pretty cool. By the way, and this is obviously a really early picture of the band, but there they are right there. It looks like a shot from like 1972, doesn't it? It's like crazy.
Yes.
Very young. All right. Where are we at? Number 3. Well, my number 3, Jamie's wearing the shirt. That is Legend. 4th album, 2012. God, 10 years ago. Holy shit. This was their first album after they signed to Nuclear Blast. So this was kind of a big deal for them. Another Swedish hard rock and doom classic. It's a long album. You know, they starting to do longer songs, a lot of songs on here, but some great stuff on here. Deconstruction, fantastic song. Potent riffs, great vocals. One of the highlights on the album. Flag of Hate completely kicks ass. It's Not Because of You has great riffs, really kind of driving song. Really like that a lot. An Alternative to Freedom. It's got this kind of spooky vibe. It's a lot, you know, they have a lot of those songs on these albums that kind of have that kind of ominous, kind of creepy feel. It goes along with the lyrical stuff that they were doing. Ghost House is terrific. I think Magnus sounds just like Jim Morrison on White Light Suicide. At times he has a little Morrison thing going on.
Yes, he does. He looks like him a little bit too.
He does. Yeah, he does. Especially when he grew his hair longer and stuff. Yeah. And then you got the big epic doom of Dead End. It's a killer album. Like I said, it's a little on the. I think their longest album. So you know, it's a tad on the long side, but there's no bad songs on it really. It's just and you get, you know, By Your Definition, which is another bonus track on here, which not really needed after Dead End. Really isn't, but they give it to you anyway. So yeah, really good album. It's my number 3, Legend from 2012.
All right, going with the Alchemist at number 2. We've got the orange vinyl there. they they started changing a little bit on this album, like you said, a little less doomy. The first song, "Walk Behind the Lines," right away, yeah, the production has gone up yet another notch a little bit, and to me, Magnus has become a better singer. You know, I think he was starting to focus more on his singing and less on the guitar playing as the albums went on. That's what I read, but it kind of shows. If Crimson Was Your Color, upbeat track with a chorus, and up to this point, I'm not sure if many of their songs, if any, had like a real chorus. This is a well-constructed song. And up to this point, a lot of their songs, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them reminded me of building a road, going forward, starting point, and the song just picks a direction and goes. Now they're starting to write a song with more structure, kind of like a house, where you have the foundation and the walls and the roof. The song is compact within the structure of the house. It just doesn't ramble on like a road. My thoughts, anyways. Leva has a laid back groove. I could tell I could tell on this album, like, the hardcore fans are going, "What happened to my Witchcraft, man?" I could kind of see that coming. I don't know if I don't know their fan base. I don't know if they rolled with them with the changes, not to quote REO Speedwagon or anything, but I don't know. It's not like I got a bunch of buddies who listen to Witchcraft with me. Hey, Doctor, all music is said contains the same drum breakdown in the middle of Sabbath's Volume 4, Under the Sun, Every Day Comes and Goes. Did you notice that? I listened to it and I said, okay, all right, I'll roll with that.
Do you hear it? I need to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I did it side by side, and I said, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I mean, to note, I don't know how someone noticed that though, just on a whim.
I mean, it's at this point, it's hard not to incorporate a little bit of Black Sabbath in all of these bands
Right.
play this style of music. It's impossible.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And they also said all music, if Crimson Was Your Color, has a riff reminiscent of Megadeth's Symphony of Destruction.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, someone's reaching here, whoever did this review. But yeah, A Doctor's great song. Samaritan Burden. This is where Magnus really develops that smooth vocal approach, where I said he can sound like an angel. He just comes in with a lot of soul in his voice. You don't think of soul when you think of doom metal or like occult rock or anything that often, but man, he has some great soul in his voice. Remembered has infectious groove, kind of like the groove that would show up on the next album. It's kind of like a precursor of things to come. And then The Alchemist, 14 minutes 36 seconds. This one is a long one with no 2-song combo or anything, and it starts off sounding really epic sounding. I love the lyrics. Real fast, I have seen great kingdoms, I've seen them rise and fall. I am 1,000 years old, maybe 1,000 more. The story's now forgotten, the paper's long gone dried. The ashes of the magician are spread with the wind of fire. Yes. It sounds like something you make up in study hall in the back of your notebook, but it's still fucking cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of folky, almost in like a Stairway to Heaven kind of way. It actually even has a flute in it. But yeah, then it goes into a psychedelic breakdown, and it goes into like a dance around the campfire kind of breakdown, and goes back to the Stairway to Heaven part, and then it turns into a big barn burner at the end that just jams. And yeah, not boring. Some song is 14 minutes long, but not a boring moment in it. Yeah, love this album. Number 2. And no bonus track that I know of anywhere.
Yeah, no, not on this one. Not on this one. Devoid of bonus track. My number 2 is Nucleus from 2016.
I knew it'd be up there.
Yeah, it is. The doom is back in full force on this album. Maelstrom is crushing, as is Theory of Consequence. You got kind of Black Sabbath meets Pentagram throughout most of this album. And Exorcism of Doubt's also just massive. The riffs on this album are tremendous. But like you mentioned, this is more of an experimental album. You got some vibes on here. You got Hammond organ on here, a few other things here and there. The Outcast has a little bluesier feel. The title track is nice and spooky and heavy. The Obsessed just absolutely kills. Breakdown is another big, long, slow, doomy piece. Love that. Love the riffs of Chasing Rainbows. I mean, this on any other given day, if it wasn't for my number one, this would be my number one because I really like this a lot. 2016. So this is already 6 years ago. So
did you like it right off the bat?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
It was a grower for me.
Yeah. No, I dug it quite a bit. So that's my number two.
And it's still growing on me. So I mean, do this countdown 2 years from now, maybe it moves up a notch.
Yeah.
My number one will always be my number one. It's one of my number ones albums of the last 20 years. This album is so special to me. It is legend. So nice. I bought it twice. I have the CD, gotta have the vinyl. Yeah, I mean, this is songwriting at its best for me. Deconstruction, it starts off with a doomy riff. You're like, okay, here we go. It's a Witchcraft album. But then something happens along the way, about a minute in. It turns into, dare I say, a happy pop metal song in a way. Kind of like early Ghost in a way. This album reminds me of early Ghost. And Magnus's vocals are just wonderful on this album. And Flag of Fate, great drumming intro that kind of reminds me of Scorpion's Crossfire a little bit, but maybe a little jazzier version of that. And then the band falls into this wonderful groove. And Magnus comes in he sounds, dare I say, pretty. His voice sounds pretty on a doom metal album. Like I said, like Ghost in a way. Yeah, this is great. It's so catchy, but it's not annoyingly catchy to where you get sick of it. There's just enough mix-ups in it to keep your interest at all times. Then It's Not Because of You comes next, and anybody who knows me over the last 10 years knows that fucking song because I played it for them. If they come into my house, got to hear this song. Out in a bar, let's go to the jukebox and see if they got it. Yeah, that's a real special song for me. I tell you what, I play that for your wife. Play side one of this album for if you're driving to I don't know, the grocery store or to the mall and you got the wife next to you. Throw the CD in or put it on your phone. Don't say a word. Just start it and see if she goes, "What's that? I kind of like that." She might.
Not mine.
Not yours?
No.
Man,
No
I think there's enough pop sensibility in these songs to win over a lot of wives out there. Won over my wife. I could play side one with the wife and she's like, go. An Alternative Freedom. Slow, but still has that smoothness to it. It's doomy and kind of evil and dark, but it has just this smoothness to it. Almost like a Buck Dharma BOC song. Like Don't Fear the Reaper. It has that darkness to it, but there's this smoothness going on there. And the drumming by Oscar Johansson on, especially It's Not Because of You. He has these hesitations, that add a little groove to it. It's not what you play sometimes, it's what you don't play.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so great. Ghost House. Oh man. I remember listening to this album for the first time, and by the time I'm getting to track 5, I'm like, is this gonna be one of my favorite albums of all time? Wow. 10 years later, it kind of is. Yeah. And the ending of this is jammy and it's kind of heavy, but it sneaks up on you. These songs kind of start off smooth and then the jamming kind of filters in. And if your wife is listening with you, she may not even realize she's kind of jamming out because it just sneaks up on you, White Light Suicide. Man, I love singing this song so much. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I just love this album too much, Pete. The opening line, cast your stone into the water and watch the ripples spread like poison. It just brings you right into the song. And then it's got that groovy dark line. It said that purple would open up your mind. How come all I see is black and white? Yeah, it gets us down. And when they do that, I literally get down, man. It just works so great. Yeah, it gets us down. Oh, it's just fucking perfect, man. How dare you put this album number 4 or 3 or whatever the fuck you did.
Number 3, man. Like I said, it could rank higher any given day. For me, the top 3 are just absolutely amazing.
Right.
I mean, all these albums are really good.
And the thing about that song too is that it goes into this doomy part that your wife wouldn't like, and then it comes back to that part where it said that purple would open up your mind, and after going through that doominess, and it settles back and transitions back into that, it's like sitting back into the hot bath, going it's just great. I love it. Democracy, a bit heavier. The side 2 is heavier as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's more this song is heavy until it gets to the lyrics that you think would be the heaviest. Then it smooths out. This is the part it's smooth with. Fuck your heroes, screw your gods, fuck your icons, deal with the real, your made up morals, your media ethics, fuck you all. That's the slow part of the song, and the rest is heavier. I know, it doesn't make sense, but guess what? It works. Dystopia, yeah, this is more of a weird kind of side of Witchcraft, but it's great. It reminds me of the door. You mentioned the Doors. It kind of reminds me of the End at times.
Yeah, it's like they're doing some kind of storytelling. Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
And Dead End, 12 minutes long, starts off with a bang, pulsating rhythms, and then it rocks for a bit. Then it goes back and forth with these like a bass breakdown, boom, 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 and maybe Magnus comes in, and then he screams, and the scream makes the band go into a heavy part, and then it goes back to the bass breakdown, and then it goes into this pulsating rhythm and riffs, and okay, this is the big epic ending, and then it fades out, and it's like, oh no, we're not. Then it comes back in. You know how the songs do that sometimes, especially the last songs, and you're like, man, that was a great. Oh, here comes the bonus fucking track. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
By your definition, yeah, it's a great song. It sounds like it belongs on side 1 somewhere, like track 3 or 4. Big, catchy, fun song. But dude, you finished me off. You pay the hooker when you're done. You get the hell out. You don't have a conversation afterwards. They want to have a conversation after I'm done.
It's like, oh, we gave you this great final track. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I got one more for you. Hold on.
Yeah, one more for you.
Yeah. What we did, we just kicked your ass with that last song. Hold on, here's another one for you. Yeah, I totally get.
No, I don't go, and I don't pay hookers though.
Okay. Well, my number 1 also happens to be the first one I ever got, and sometimes the first one is always your favorite, right? I'm going with Firewood, their second album from 2005. Yeah, I love this album a lot, and this was on the old Candlelight Records. Remember Candlelight Records?
I remember seeing it every once in a while. Yes.
Yeah, they actually, this was kind of an interesting band for them, because I remember at the time Candlelight was mostly releasing a lot of black and death metal stuff, like really underground stuff. And
I didn't know they were no longer around.
They actually are again. They were like quiet for many years, but I've been getting new Candlelight stuff in, for review and whatnot. So that was kind of interesting. And I think this was a joint between Rise Above and Candlelight. So I'm not really sure, because they both listed on the back of my CD. But nonetheless, songs are a little bit more up tempo from the first album. I think Magnus sounds a little more confident in his vocals this time around. I mean, you mentioned Child of Fire. Incredible. If Wishes Were Horses, to me, sounds like a Swedish Wishbone Ash. Love the song. It's catchy. It's rocking. Mr. Hayes, just terrific 70s style bluesy hard rock. There's tasty guitar licks everywhere you turn on this album. Wooden Cross is big, heavy proto metal. Queen of Bees, massive doom. Killer riffs. I See a Man, another great hembanger. Sorrow Evoker is terrific, kind of gloomy. It's got the little bits of acoustic guitars and flute in there, which adds some nice variety. You mentioned You Suffer, which is just crushes, but it's just not long enough, damn it. It's like I wanted more of that. And then we talked about Attention and how it's got that little bit of When the Screams Come from Pentagram and after all the silence and shit. But yeah, I love this album. I love the way it sounds. And let me just hold this up because you get a kind of a good look at the band. Again, fairly early on, and you saw this album cover. You're like, that looks kind of like a spooky, kind of probably like a doomy album, or maybe it's a weird European death metal album or something like that. And it's
and their name is called Witchcraft, so
it's called Witchcraft, so it's like it totally lives up to the bill. But yeah, that's I don't know, since I've been listening to these albums again over the last 2 weeks, this has kind of risen to the top for me. But my top three, my top four, shit. The top five are really good, but for me, I think the cream of the crop is this album, Nucleus and Legend. I think those are easily their best, but I really can't deny Alchemist, which I think is terrific, and the debut is really good too. So, I guess the moral of the story here, folks, for you watching, other than black metal, the most recent album, which we don't recommend you listen to. If you've never heard this band before, give any of these other albums a shot because they're all really, really good. Obviously, our top picks are special to us, but I think you really can't go wrong with any of these albums.
And your top two picks were my 4 and 5. So
yeah,
who's to say where to start?
Yeah, anywhere is good.
Anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one album here that's like, their classic album, because I think that technically a couple of them could be labeled that. But I've heard people talk about Legend as the album from them. I've heard some people mention Nucleus, so some people The Alchemist. So I don't know too many people that I've seen pick Firewood like I did, but I really like that album.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a really good band. Really good band. I hope there's more to come from them as a band.
Yeah. And I would love to see them live. I think I missed I don't even know if they toured the States much. I don't think so.
I don't know. I've never seen them. I've never seen Graveyard. I had a chance to see
Graveyard 3 times.
Yeah, I've had chances. I just didn't go. I mean, I had a couple chances to see Cadaver. I didn't go. These bands don't come over here too often. So I think if you get the opportunity, go catch them.
And we're old and lazy, Pete. They're coming to town. We go, can I just sit home and watch a Blu-ray?
I know. Sorry. Oh, I got to go to New York City to see them. Oh, God, that's 2 hours each way.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I think of you guys doing that because I just went to go see the Who and Iron Maiden. 15 minutes there, 15 minutes home.
Can't beat that. No. Yeah, I got none of that here. Yeah. The closest for me is the Chance, obviously, and that's half an hour away. But if I want to go to the city, that's either an hour and 20-minute car ride, bridge, parking, traffic, all that shit. And I'm usually like, or if I want to take a train, it's 2 hours each way, easy.
I would never see any concerts if I were you. I'd say the hell with it all the time.
Yeah, it's tough. Around here, there's really not much, But I've been going we're up near where Eric lives. He's up in the Albany area, our state capital. And I've been going to more shows up there because that's about an hour and 15-minute ride for me, which is not bad. But it's like stress-free. There's no bridges, there's no traffic. It's just straight up, and it's small town USA as opposed to New York City, which is, for years I always thought it was really cool going to see shows in New York City. I don't feel that way anymore because to me it's just a hassle now, right? Because I'm old. I got the olds, and I'm like, fuck all that, So
yeah.
But anyway, basically what we're saying, if you get a chance to see any of these bands, if they do come around and tour, you should go catch them because they are coming all the way from Sweden. They don't make it over here all that often, and their music is really cool, and it's a great throwback to stuff that we loved back 30, 40 years ago. So so there you have it, everybody. Where'd you get that shirt, by the way? Did you order from the band?
I ordered it about 10 years ago. It looks like shit in person. It's amazing how on camera they don't look that bad. I think I got it off their website. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. It's a really cool album cover anyway. I mean, it's out of all their album covers, it's totally cool. You got the freaking eagle or the falcon or whatever that is, and hawk. So cool stuff. And I like the fact that not on every album, but on most of their albums, they keep the logo. In fact,
yes, they do. Even on the shitty one where you think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't have it is the Alchemist, which they change it up. But all the other ones has that logo, which I kind of dig. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of got that folk horror look type of thing,
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they look back and go, God damn it, why did we change it for that one album?
Yeah, I don't know. That's very bizarre because all the other ones have it. Yeah, even on the inside they don't have it. I don't know.
Oh well.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? Album is cool. So there you have it, everybody. Ranking the albums of Witchcraft. If you are a fan, rank them as you like them down in the comments below. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. If you've never listened to them before, your assignment for today is to go out and check out a couple of these, come back and let us know what you think and which ones you listen to.
Album homework assignment lives on.
That's right.
You,
we're just doing a little bit. Yeah, we're giving you, the audience, the assignments now instead of us. But well, we have assignments too because we always have to go re-listen to these catalogs before we do these. So it's not like we don't have assignments. But yeah, I guarantee if you listen to one of these albums, if you've never heard them before, you'll really dig these guys. They're really really good. And again, if you just like classic, 70s proto metal, bluesy hard rock, or early doom, I think you'll dig these guys quite a bit. And they're not as pummeling as other bands that you could listen to in the kind of doom category. So cool. So there we have it. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Coming up, I believe next week, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you'll have Simon Bray and myself ranking the albums of 38 Special. I'm not 100% sure if that's next week or the week after, but I'm going to be ranking the albums of Morgulble, as well as High on Fire. That's also coming up in the weeks ahead. We also have, I'm not sure exactly when we're going to do it, but Eric Porter, George Lemmy, and I are going to be ranking the albums of Derek Sherinian, keyboard great, who's played with lots of cool people and has some really good solo albums. So that's coming up. We're also going to be doing Flying Colors pretty soon. And I think Jamie will be a part of a pretty massive ranking. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to do it, of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That's coming up at some point in the not too distant future. Martin Popoff.
I'll start my homework tomorrow on that.
Yeah, there you go. I have them all here. I've listened to, again, I'm fairly new to the whole catalog of Tom Petty, so I've been listening to these albums and trying to figure the whole thing out. So I'm still a little ways off from that. But Clutch also is happening. Guitar Hack and Martin Popoff and myself will be doing Clutch. And then there was one more I was going to mention. Rich Catino and I will be doing Striper probably sometime in November. So that's happening as well. So a lot of really cool ranking the album shows coming up. So remember, for those of you watching, we are doing them now every Sunday. That is the new Sunday program. We've been doing them since August. So make sure you tune in every Sunday for ranking the album shows, and we'll see you next week for another one. So take care, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell. There's also a link below to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations and our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. And please hit that like button before you leave. Very, very important to help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And I think that's all I got. So for Jamie Laszlo, I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for joining us here on this Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow with the Hudson Valley Squares. Take care, everybody.